properties, not some, properties of what? Of an element. So the atom has all properties of what? Of an element. Another point also, we have to remember this in our mind. Atoms, say atoms. Atoms are the building blocks of matter. Okay, so those are the two sentences that I want to make. I want to present to you. I think that let you give you even the same. State that all the various souls, all the various souls, all the various souls or liquid so all the various salts, liquids, okay, liquids and what? And gases. Three states of matters are made by fitting gases. Three state of matters. Three state of matter. We say that are made up. Are made by fitting atoms together in different ways. Fitting what? Fitting atoms together in different ways. Together in different ways. Okay, so we say first, if you refer the definition that I stated, an atom is the smallest particle or base unit of a chemical element that can exist. Again, we say that examples of atoms, we say are helium, sodium, chlorine, etc. So you can even also add as oxygen, iron. For example, that we have against another element, for example, fluorine, calcium, magnesium, etc., etc., etc. So then we say that the atom has all the properties of an element. So if an element has a certain property, for example, if sodium has certain properties, then sodium as element has certain properties, then you find that sodium as what? As atom also has some of the properties or related with properties. So then the atom has all the properties of elements. So we say atoms are the building block of what? Of matters. So atoms are the one that used to make a matter. For example, that this ruler is a solid, right? It's a piece of wood, but it's a solid. So because it's a solid, it means that where do these particles, because it contains many particles, where do these particles get what? Where do these particles, okay? So you say that these atoms are, or you say that atoms are the building blocks of matters. So you say that, for example, that this is the one example 40 of a certain element, or maybe for an atom. Then the question we have to ask ourselves, what is holding these particles together? So you say that an atoms, or a atoms, no, say that in. Yes, okay. Atoms are the building blocks of the matter. So atoms, so for example, liquid state, it consists in what? Liquid, for example, water. It contains what? Okay, so it contains, these atoms are the building blocks of matters. It means if you want to make a matter, then you just take atoms and then compress them and combine them to make a certain structure. Okay? So that means the 40 atoms, we call that the building blocks, just like a bricks in the house, so are the building blocks for the house, for the wall of the house. Okay? So that the point that also you have to remember. Also, another point is that all the various salts, or state of matter, okay, all the various salts or liquids or and gases. So these are what? Three or the state of 40 of matters are made by fitting atoms together in different ways. So various salts and liquids and gases, these are the three states of matter. If you know about the other two, which is plasma and so forth, then you say that so you say that are made by fitting atoms together in what? In different ways. So that is a little bit summary about what? The atom. So let us proceed now. If you have any questions, ask in the comment section, please. The behavior of particular substance is controlled by the way in which these atoms are put together. So he said that these are some other sentences which are relevant also. The behavior of a particular substance is controlled by the way in which its atoms are put together. So another sentence, that another point I have to make is this one. So that the behavior of what? Of a particular substance So you say that the behavior of particular substances, right, or substance is controlled controlled by the way in which its atoms are put together. So another sentence that you have to make is that the behavior of particular substance is controlled by what? By the way in which its atoms, okay, are put together. So this is kind of applications, how do we apply the concepts of what of atom? So it's one of the applications. So the behavior of the particular substance is controlled by the way in which its atoms are put together. So there are different ways of putting atoms together. Sometimes man made that, they can make that business, or God himself created such. So again, another sentence that I want to make is this the example of how we get an atom from the structure that we have. Okay. So another sentence you say that is just like an example. It's a description example, and the question states that so you say that in this example, suppose a block of iron. Suppose a block of iron, say iron. Iron is the one of the element, a block of iron, okay? Suppose a block of iron is cut in half. Is cut in half. So a block of what? A block of iron. A block of iron so a block of iron is cut in a half, and in half again. For example, that if a block, so let us start this. If a block of iron is cut in half, and the half is taken again and cut in half, and then so you say that if a block of iron is cut in half and half, so if you cut it in half and half continuously, half and half, okay, and half again, and half again. So, and half, a half again. So half and a half again. Yes. So you say that if this process, if this cut or this process, we say, if this process is repeated, is what is repeated until the smallest piece is obtained. Until the smallest piece. So half and half again, if this process is repeated until the smallest piece okay, so smallest piece. So what do you say that? We say that smallest piece of 14 of iron. So if that the case now, if a block of irons is cut in a half and a half and a half again, and if this process is repeated until the smallest pieces of iron is obtained, piece of atom is what is obtained. Is obtained. Obtained, and then we say that that is still iron. So that still, so this is still what? So that is still what you say that if iron obtained, that is still what an iron. So what does it mean that we say that if we take an iron, for example, that let me demonstrate for a piece of iron. Suppose that this is the iron, and then you break it into another piece, right? And then if you take this piece again, you divide it in half, and then take the half and divide it into half. You take another half, you divide it into half. That's the meanings that we are trying here. So you say that if that process is done for an iron, for example, is cut in half and half and half again, if the process is repeated until the smallest piece of iron is obtained, that is still that piece, smallest piece, still what? An iron. So that is how we cover, or that is what the meaning of what is the atom and what's going on around the atom. So before I end this lecture, I would like to leave you a homework. Make sure that you do this homework individually and submit the result. Homework 40, this is homework 1. Tell your neighbor homework 1. So he said that the homework 1 question that I want to give you is this, about atomic structure, and then so we've discussed about that. So the question is this: what is molecule? What is molecule? What is a molecule? And the first question. So what is a molecule? Then question 2, say this one. What is the difference? Means what is the difference? This is what is the difference between a compound and what? A compound and what? No, and molecule. So you say that what is the difference between a compound and the molecule. Compound and the molecule. What is the difference between a compound and the molecule? Those are the two questions that I would like to leave to you to make sure that you go through differently the textbooks that I ask you, the reference materials, so you can see or you can know how can you define the molecule, because that's the second concept or second subtopic. And then the second question is, what the difference between a compound and a molecule, or in the molecule. So we've been discussing this stuff, and then that you know that you had a good foundations on this stuff. So what the difference between them? I know that you still know them, but and you still maybe to just to have I think that you know the molecules, or maybe you know, because for example, you know chlorine. Chlorine, as a chlorine, is always existing what? In that, right? Because there are two molecules of chlorine here. So the questions is really about covalent electrovalent bond, very strong concepts, and even it's very beautiful. So for example, chlorine, it means here there's a chemical bond between the one chlorine atom and another chlorine atom, bonded together to form what? A compound. So again, what is the difference between a molecule and what? The compound? Make sure to do it yourself before you go for the session 2 or lecture 2, or we call it period 2. Before we got the session 2 or period 2, which is next, soon after the end of this session. And then one thing that we insist you, it's better if you concentrate, okay? Better if you concentrate. That's very important for you to understand these different issues. Because we like to see students are successful in science and even mathematics. So if that's the case now, I'd like to thank God, first of all, who have prepared me for this lecture. And then say that this is so thank you. I thank God. And I thank you and yourself also for taking your time and watching this material and being together and concentrating. So thank you very much. Make sure that you share the material, don't be selfish. And even if you want to share to all your school, all your class, all your classmates, and even all the entire schools is fine, because you know that I want that to see these contents helping millions of the students. So I thank you very much. I would like just to meet you on the next session, where that you will be learning from the molecules, and even remember that this one might do the corrections at the beginnings of the next lecture. So that's how the protocol that we are going to use. But we like just to insist within the 2 weeks. Within the 2 weeks, you find that everyone among you can even just understand the stuff. Okay? So in case you have your free will in Thanksgiving, don't forget to send on this number 0759 745331. So thank you very much. I love you. May God bless you, and meet you inside of the second lecture.